I wanted to discuss today an empath being able to take on someone's pain. As you know, with empathy, it's a two-way street. Not only can we pick up the emotions of others, but we're also projectors. A big part of what we are is that we're also transmuters of energy, meaning when the energy comes into us, we work similar to the citrine crystal in that we transmute negative energy. We take negative energy and we change it into light, and we transmute it and we get rid of it. It's something that actually we do quite unconsciously. We don't have to consciously do it for that to work. That is just who we are and how we work. Now, people often speak of what an empath picks up and, what we're receiving, what we're feeling through that connection. Not as much discussion is devoted to projecting. However, like I said, it's a two-way street, and you have to remember that. That's very important. Let's say, for example, you're out somewhere and you get into a confrontation with somebody who's very angry. Now, maybe you are in an okay emotional state, however, they are not. Maybe they're upset about something that doesn't even have to do with you. But yet, maybe they say something negative to you or they yell at you. Well, sometimes we are caught off guard by things. We're not expecting certain things to happen. You're out minding your own business. Maybe you're shopping in a store and you are not expecting a person who works there to get nasty or negative with you. And then when it happens, sometimes we can be caught off guard. We're not expecting it. And before we know it, we've just that quickly reacted back to them. And later on when we think about it, we think, oh, okay, I can see what happened. And the reason why in that example, what happens is just that quickly we connect to them, we pick up and start feeling what they're feeling. And so when we react back to them, we're not really reacting back to them with our own self and our own state, but we're actually reacting back to them, and what's causing us to react back to them in the way we are is what we are in fact picking up from them. So it's like holding a mirror up at the other person, and basically you kick back to them what they sent to you. That actually causes many confrontations with an empath to escalate. It's because there are so many empaths out there who are unaware that they're empaths. They're uncontrolled. They're unskilled, meaning uncontrolled. And so they don't realize in those instances what are going on, and so they just react back. And what they are literally doing is they are projecting back to the person what they picked up from them. And yes, that can be dangerous. And by dangerous, what I mean is you can cause that person you project back to get a headache, to a severe headache, to even causing that person to feel ill, depending on how bad and how negative and how dark that energy was that you picked up from them, that you kicked back to them. Now, I may not be able to explain this in a scientific way, what's going on, but I can tell you that from experience, what I've noticed is that in the process of projecting back, often when you project it back, it is much worse than how it at first came out to you. So it's like you, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, when they sent it to you and you picked it up, maybe it was like a 7. And then when you projected back, it was like a 10 or more. So you have to understand how important it is, and for how many reasons it's important that an empath becomes skilled. Of course, this is not something that you want to do unconsciously. Of course, if you think about it, you don't want to accidentally hurt anyone, not even to give them a slight headache. And so this is what normally happens. And so it's very important, like I said, to realize that as an empath, you're not just picking up things, you're also projecting them back. Now, this leads to another question. Doesn't come up that often, but every now and then I will get somebody, that asks me about it, and that is consciously and purposely taking on somebody's pain or issue. Now, I don't find that many people who are looking to take on somebody's emotional issue. If somebody's in a bad mental state, I've never heard anybody say, I want to be able to take that on for them and relieve them of that. No. But many empaths are also clairsentient, so they have the ability to also feel somebody's, physical ailments, backache, neck ache, if a person woke up with a crook in their neck because they slept funny, acid reflux, allergies, somebody's in the hospital and they're having a painful procedure. I mean, any number of things. Yes, an empath does have the ability to take this on and transmute it. And yes, it does require skill. And no, I would not recommend that somebody who is, new to realizing their empathy try to do this, because it requires you being very careful that what you take on, you do not hold inside yourself. When we talk about an empath needing to learn to ground and protect, this comes into play when it comes to taking on someone's pain or, ailment, whatever it is. It is very important to be grounded in such a way where as you take it from them, it's basically what you're doing is you're basically running it out of them through yourself and directly and immediately back out of you. Like I said, it takes skill. And so this isn't something that you should think lightly of. This isn't something that you should think, oh, cool, I can do this. I can help so many people. Yeah, you'll have a tendency to think that way. But I'm sure that the first time you do it and you do it incorrectly and you end up feeling sick and horrible for the whole day, you'll change your mind and your feelings about that. Because what happens, I usually only do this for my son, who now is 7. When I first started doing it, I don't know, maybe he was like 3 or 4. I've taken on many things from him just having a headache, really bad cold flu symptoms, other pains where he's fallen, he's hurt his knee. I mean, various things I've taken on from him. I would usually not recommend to anyone to attempt doing this, especially if they're not very, especially if they don't consider themselves to be very skilled at grounding in a way where they're totally and completely in control of it. Most of the times when we ground and then that's it. We don't do anything else consciously with our grounding. We don't consciously and purposely run energy out of us usually. Now, you can practice that, running energy through you, just regular energy, just practice taking in universal energy and like running it through you. So I would say yes, that you can practice getting good at this, but this is not something that you just one day you just decide you're going to do. I think that most people that do it or have done it the same as me, out of a feeling of necessity, wanting to help someone who's very close to them. And we realize the risks that we're taking on, and so we try to be very careful. We try to make sure that we take seriously clearing ourselves of this energy after we do it. So we're very careful that we're grounded, how we're grounded, and we're careful that when we're doing it, we're using a technique that's pretty much going to guarantee that this energy that we're consciously and purposely taking in does not stay in us at all, that it just goes through us and doesn't stay in us. And we run it back, we run it through the grounding and back into the earth so that it can be transmuted. So, I wanted to bring that up because many empaths, I've heard many, many, many empaths, too many, say that this isn't something that they want, that they wish they could get rid of it, that it's a curse. Who would want this? Well, it depends on how you look at it. You do have something that allows you to greatly help people. You do have something that even without consciously using it or doing anything with it, you are being a help to the whole world, to all of humanity, because you are a natural transmuter of negative energy. That is what you are. That is what you do. Consciously, unconsciously every day without even realizing it. You could think of yourself as a transmuter of negative energy for the community that you live in. Think about it. When you're in your house and you're sitting and you're relaxing, think for a moment. You may be the transmuter and the holder of light for your area. Maybe you could think of it for your subdivision. That's how I think of it. That I'm the transmuter of negative energy for my subdivision. And I take my responsibility, seriously. I know, it sounds funny. But in effect, that is what you are. And you are doing something that's really, really great. And think about it, all the while you may be thinking, what an awful thing I have. What a curse. Why do I have this? Why would God do this to me? I've heard all of those things said by people. It's a blessing in disguise, you could say. It's not really a curse. It's a blessing in disguise. You are doing something where you have that ability in your life to help all of humanity, without having to consciously do anything but exist. And that is what you do. When you think of what an empath does that helps others, it's simple. They exist. Thank you for listening and enjoy.